Hi, I'm Jacob Hauslocker. This is my lovely wife, Christina Anteman, and we're here at NCECA Seattle 2012 to celebrate the LH Project's 10-year anniversary. Can't believe it that long, but I think we did a wonderful job, and we're excited to show you our collection. We have wood-fired pieces, we have electric-fired pieces, we have high-temperature clays, we have low-temperature clays, we have various use of materials, decorative techniques, firing techniques. 10 years ago, we didn't even have electricity power on the place. We had no kilns. And now looking back at this work, it's absolutely amazing what we've done so far. I really want to thank my board for being so supportive and for giving me the advice and encouragement along the way. It's such a broad range of materials and clay that I didn't think it was going to be this possible.
My name is Giselle Hicks and I am a ceramic artist. I primarily work in clay and slip casting is my main process.
Hi, I'm Peter Christian Johnson. I'm a sculptor, part of the LH project here. I started out as a potter and transitioned into a sculptor who uses clay.
My name's Mark Messenger and I'm a ceramic artist and I teach at Diablo Valley College in Pleasant Hill, California. And I teach together with Carl McDade, who also has some work here in the exhibition. I think I can speak for Carl saying that we're both very proud to have been residents at the LH and we're both proud to be part of this exhibition.
I'm Trey Hill. I'm a ceramic sculptor and I'm a professor at the University of Montana.
Hi, I'm Ryan Labar and I make porcelain sculptures and currently the program director at the LH Project in Joseph, Oregon.
I'm Brian Kakis, ceramic sculptor and currently the assistant professor at Northern Michigan University where I run the ceramics program.
Hi, I'm artist Ryan Mitchell.
Hello, my name is Jason Siegel. I'm an artist and I work with ceramics.
Jason Segal is our current resident. He was only supposed to be with us for a couple weeks, and a couple weeks turned into a month turned into a couple months, and finally he's going to leave after a year. We can't wait to get rid of him. Just kidding.
It was kind of a chance meeting in Long Beach, California with Ryan Labar. I've almost been there for a year now, and it's been an incredible experience and opportunity for me. A lot of these pieces are things that I would have wanted to have made as a child. I've taken porcelain and stoneware and made them look like materials, other materials like cardboard, wood, drywall, and so I've constructed these toys. But then I've also sort of exploited some of the different processes and materials that are unique to clay or ceramics, and we're sort of started to peel back some of the, the illusions that I've created. Like I'll make a cardboard with porcelain, and then I'll start to I'll create that illusion and then I'll break it down again and I'll reveal the material. Ceramics is unique in that we have access to a lot of processes that you find in nature, so I can, in the firing process I can exploit that and introduce sort of chaos, things that you would find in geothermal areas in the United States, like at Yellowstone.
He uses firing techniques in a way I've never seen used before. He uses glazes in ways I've never seen glazes being used before. He's a thinker.
I think Jason's work is extraordinary because you go into his studio and just see all these parts lined up and his repertoire of colors and shapes. So I would go in there and just see laid out all these bottle rockets and then a whole pile of matches. I wasn't sure what he was going to do with them, and then when I came back, I noticed that this piece was coming together in this way where it's now a narrative that speaks not only about the play of childhood and this spontaneity, but also a parody of mixed media. Instead of using the actual cardboard, he just makes the clay cardboard, showing that clay can do anything and mimic anything, but also playing with these materials. The glaze that looks like wood glue. That's why I thought this piece would be really strong in the permanent collection. It has that whimsy and strength and technical skill that really shows Jason's work.
Welcome to the LH Show, a decade of distinction where we've brought together 24 of our artists, including myself and our board members, and we have an extensive space filled with wonderful masterpieces by these talented artists. I'm standing right now in front of one of Brian Kakis's works that he completed last summer at the LH, where we together we encouraged ourselves to kind of break through the traditional practices that we were used to working with, and he is exploring a low-fire colored glaze and exposing some of the interior elements that provide support for his structures. But Brian really took advantage of the opportunity in our mission statement to break free from what he is normally used to working, and it was a risk he took, and I think it was a successful risk in the end.
As an artist, I think I'm kind of open to a lot of different ideologies and methodologies with working. I think I've learned more about ceramics by working with stone, wood, metals, textiles, and taking those processes and applying them to a singular material. And it really has come down to engineering of material, trying to get a mastery of the clay techniques that allow me to produce forms that are non-traditional. Really exploring space and people's perceptions of space. And the work itself really comes down to this modular mold system I've been working with that's based in a lot of sacred geometry and mathematics with Fibonacci sequences that allow me to be more in the state of art with construction as opposed to coming up with a blueprint, a preconceived notion of what something's going to be, but I get to discover that in the building process. So this is work that has allowed me to, in that residency, change temperature, change surface application, the colors that I'm applying to the work, and also I've been beginning to expose parts that I would normally conceal in my regular bodies of work. The process, which what always intrigued me, but I was always going with a different vision of what the finished product would be, and I was constantly hiding process. Really, this residency allowed me to take time to expose those parts and create a different level of a finished product. Something that I saw the entire time, but am now leaving as what I normally saw as unfinished is now an actual finished piece.
Yeah, most of my work is about telling stories. There's a lot of mythology, there's some history, there's some contemporary events, there's a lot of reference to art history. But I think of the work as a kind of a personal mythology kind of a thing, based on contemporary events. So that's kind of the way I approach my artwork. You can look at Trajan's column or something like that. I think those are fun artifacts to look at because they chronicle certain time periods and what was going on at the time. And if you look in the background of artifacts like that, you can see nuances of the time also, besides just the historical fact or the propaganda going on. And I think it's the same thing here. It's obviously about political events and things going on and world events, but also then on perhaps another level, maybe a more psychological toll that it takes through commodifying people and those kind of things. So it's those kind of general themes, I guess, is what this work happens to be about.
What I want my work to do is I want my work to ask questions and to kind of keep delivering information through time. So I'm often a little hesitant to tell the viewer everything about the piece, because then I feel like I've taken some of the mystery away from the work, and that the piece can't function in the same way where it can't keep offering things to the viewer. So that's the way I think about the work, and I think of it as asking questions as well as kind of slowly over time, giving answers. So I use different components to carry different metaphors, and I build with these. I stack these pieces up almost like blocks to build these images. And a lot of the work's influenced by kind of the unseen, things that we can feel but we can't quite see. They have an impact on us, but they're slightly intangible. What I've got here in this show is kind of a range of work. Each piece is a little bit different. I've got some pieces that are all clay, I've got some pieces that are mixed media, and all of it's pretty new. Some of it's brand new, and all of it's within, I'd say, the last year.
And this is a recent resident artist, Peter Johnson, who teaches just an hour away from the LH Project in La Grande, Oregon. And he mastered this project within 2 months with the help of an Oregon grant that he received. And these are all formed out of clay and then piled on top of each other. It's called grapple.
Grapple is also a wrestling move. It's to grapple with something, to struggle with something. I'm interested in this whole notion of a pile of these industrial pieces of equipment that have this implicit failure because of their material. They're fractured, they're broken, they're ceramic, they're not going to function. So there's sort of an irony, I hope, in that work that then somehow becomes commentary about us as people. The work I've been working on recently is largely inspired by this whole idea of artifact. I'm interested in how clay is tied to our sort of cultural history, and I'm also interested in sort of the act of invention. So the works that I'm making are meant to sort of tie those two things together, these sort of aged, distressed objects that hopefully are sort of dislocated in time. Some of my pieces seem sort of futuristic, some seem to have this sort of history to them, and I'm interested in how the objects we make as people kind of speak to our own cultural identity.
Here on the wall we have a great display by Stephen Braun. His ability and looseness and conversation in the studio is so free-spirited, and his work has such a heavy political statement about how we treat our world and rape our resources.
One important thing that I like to have available for the artists is they're not constrained to any one method of firing in any certain technique. I want to encourage them to be able to experiment with firing techniques and to make use of what we have to offer in any way that they want to. We built a fast fire wood kiln that's designed for production pottery. Our resident artist Ryan Mitchell came in and loaded the whole kiln up with huge sculpture and put stoke holes in the door where that wouldn't necessarily be done. And he fired the kiln for over 4 days, where it was designed to fire in 12 hours. That kind of freedom is what we're giving to the artists to do, and it provides them a chance to be creative and to experiment. And the work that comes out of there is just drastically different from what they'd have a chance to do at a community college, for example, where a kiln only has to be fired a certain way. It might not work, it might fail, or it might be really brilliant. They might not ever be able to replicate it again, but at the LH they got a chance to do it. Ryan Mitchell was with us for over a year, and when he left us, he went to China. And now it turns out Ryan is running his own residency program in China.
In this exhibition, some of the work that I'm featuring are some one piece just completed in the back with the two prone figures, which is called Long Time No See, and in front a little bit earlier piece called part of a Everywhere Buddha series, which is Everywhere Buddha Tokyo. Yeah, I think with my work I'm trying to look or elicit a kind of ambiguous, kind of conflicted response. You know, I don't want clarity. I'm always trying to inject a contradiction or a conflict of oppositions and put them sort of into turmoil together. And I want them to be somewhat, a little bit blunt, but you know, there's a poetry and mystery. I think that's important. I'm not too concerned with having like really clear conclusions or concepts or theories or anything like that. So.